Hey guys, and welcome back for part two of our cellular transport unit. This is going to be talking about passive cellular transport. So, when you hear the word passive, you're going to think about doing a Netflix marathon. You are chilling, there is no energy involved, and that's exactly how this passive transport process occurs. So, I have a little picture here. This is going downhill. Okay, so we're going to think about this whole process as going down the concentration gradient. This means that we're moving from high concentration down to low concentration. So wherever we have a lot of particles, all the way down to where we have next to no particles. We are moving down the concentration gradient. We are moving with the concentration gradient, and this is called cellular transport that is passive. Okay, so here's like the complete overview. Okay, so this goes with the half sheet of notes from my kiddos. So for passive transport, we're talking about the movement of substances that are going into and out of the cell without using any energy. So previously, we talked about how the cell membrane helps to control what moves in and what comes out of the cell. It's selectively permeable, it gets to choose what things are entering and what things are exiting. But what's special about passive transport is there is absolutely no energy involved. This is the natural movement of particles, this is how they want to move. So we are going from a high concentration down to a low concentration. That's why I like to think about it like a hill, kind of like gravity. There's no energy needed to roll a ball down the hill, all right? It's just going to go with gravity. So that's the same way these molecules want to move from high concentration down towards a lower concentration. And there are three different types of passive transport that we're going to be talking about. The first one is simple diffusion. Then we have facilitated diffusion, which just means aided or helped diffusion, right? And then we're going to be dealing with osmosis, okay? So the first thing we'll talk about is simple diffusion. So this is when we have molecules that are moving from a high concentration down to a low concentration. This means that they are going with the concentration gradient. They are going down the concentration gradient. Okay, this will happen until everything is balanced or at an equilibrium. So the particles will continue to move until there is no longer an area of high concentration, low concentration. I mean, molecules are always moving, right? But they're not going to be consciously moving from a high area of concentration towards a low area of concentration once you have reached that equilibrium. They're still moving, but it's just going to be in an equal concentration. So again, diffusion is from high concentration to low concentration, and at equilibrium, the molecules are moving around, but there's no net flow. So there's no big change in the concentration because it is now at equilibrium. Secondly, we have facilitated diffusion, and facilitated diffusion just means aided or helped. Okay, so this is diffusion that occurs that just needs a helper protein. So some molecules cannot diffuse straight through the membrane. They require a special protein channel to help them move. Okay, things that practice simple diffusion are very small things that are non-polar. This allows them to pass straight through the membrane. If we're using facilitated diffusion, this means that these molecules or these particles are a little bit larger, that maybe they carry a charge, such as an ion here as the example. That's the major difference between simple and facilitated diffusion. If it can't go straight through without disrupting the membrane, it's going to need a protein to help it move, and that's what facilitated diffusion does. Lastly, we have osmosis. Now, osmosis is the diffusion of water across a semi-permeable membrane. So we're only dealing with water here. Water is the only thing that's moving during osmosis. Okay, so it's the diffusion of water through special channels called aquaporins. These are just special proteins in the membrane that allow water in and out of cells. Okay, water is going to move from a high area of water down to a low area of water. So from high concentration to low concentration. That's true for everything that is passive. We are always moving from high to low concentration in passive transport. So again, our three different types are going to be simple diffusion, which is small nonpolar molecules. We have facilitated diffusion, which requires a protein channel because these are larger charged molecules. And then we have osmosis, which is referring to the movement of water and only water. Okay, so with dealing with osmosis, we have to talk about solutions because osmosis is dealing with the movement of water. Typically, water has things in it, right? So we have a solvent and a solute that make up the solution, right? Usually, water is the solvent, okay? This is the thing that does the dissolving. This is the liquid part, it does the dissolving. So typically, we're talking about water, especially in biology. The solute is the thing that gets dissolved, like salt, like sugar, like Kool-Aid coloring, right? So solvent is like the liquid. Solute, I like to think about solute. You get dissolved. Solute, you get dissolved. Okay? And we'll practice with that a little bit. So if we're talking about salt water, we have water plus salt equals salt water. Okay, water is the solvent, salt is the solute because you are being dissolved, and that makes up salt water. Okay, so we're going to look at how osmosis works. And when we're looking at osmosis, we're going to be dealing with the solutes, not the water. So we're going to be looking at the salts, the sugar, whatever it is that's been dissolved in the water. That's what we're going to be tracking. So with osmosis, there are 3 different types of solutions: isotonic, hypertonic, and hypotonic. Okay, so looking at these, it's always a comparison. You can't just have a cup of water that has something in it and say, this is hypertonic. You have to be comparing it to something else. You can't just describe a liquid as being one of these solutions. It's always in association to something else. So you always have to be looking at 2 different environments. Typically, what we're looking at is a liquid on the outside of the cell and then the liquid inside the cell. Okay. So in isotonic, we're dealing with the same or equal. This means that we have equal solute, so the stuff, the salt, the sugar, whatever it is that we're tracking, inside and outside. We have the same amount of stuff or solute, equal amounts, isotonic. Okay, in a hypertonic solution, hyper, if you think hyperactive, you think like high energy. This means high solute. So we have high solute outside. So this is going to be out here a hypertonic solution because it has higher solute. Lastly, we have hypotonic. Hypo means below, okay? So hypotonic has a low concentration of solute, and we're talking about the liquid outside of the cell here. This is much lower than the solute that is inside. Again, solute is the salts, the sugar, whatever is being dissolved. So we're not looking at the water. It's easier to track without looking at the water. So for plants, it's a little bit different. Osmosis works a little bit different in plants. In our animal cells, isotonic solutions are where our cells are happy. This means that we have the same amount of solute, same amount of water on either side of our cell and in the extracellular material. So that's where the cells are happiest, right? In plant cells, however, they're happiest in a hypotonic solution. They want a lot of water. This is when that central vacuole is going to fill up with water, and it's going to create something called turgor pressure that's going to push on the outside of the plant to keep it standing upright. So if you've seen your flowers ever like drooping, it's because they have lost their turgor pressure and that central vacuole has kind of collapsed a little bit because it needs more water. Okay. Now we're going to look at a few examples of how we're actually going to do the problems here for osmosis. Okay, so I'm going to start over here. Okay, yes, the answers are already on here. And like I said, I'm going to make a separate video that just kind of goes through the different examples and how to solve these, but we can talk through these right here. So in this first example, we're saying, is this a isotonic, hypotonic, or hypertonic solution? So we have the environment and we have the cell. And in the environment, we have 10% NaCl, which is table salt. And inside, we have 10% table salts. Okay, we're looking at the solute, which is the stuff. So we have salts. And it is equal on either side of the membrane. This means that water is going to move in and out at the same rate. In and out at the same rate because we have the same amount of salt and we have the same amount of water on either side of the cell, inside and outside. That means that it is happy. It is balanced. It is in equilibrium. That's where it wants to be. But water never stops moving. It doesn't ever hold still. So it's going to be moving in and out at exactly the same rate. So there's no net movement of water because there's not a whole lot going in or a whole lot going out. It's going in and out at exactly the same rate. So the cell's never actually changing size. This is our next little example over here. Isotonic, hypotonic, or hypertonic. Okay, so we're looking at 10% salt in the environment, and inside of our cell, we have 20% salt. So here's how you can name this. You're looking at the solution on the outside of the cell. 10%, is it higher or is it lower than 20%? Is 10% higher or lower than 20%? It's lower, which means that this is a hypo because that means low solute hypotonic solution. Okay. So what does that mean? Water in a hypotonic solution here. So we have inside the cell, outside the cell. Where's the water going to move? Okay. In a hypotonic solution, you're going to think hypo, hippo, big fat O. This means that our cell is going to bring in a whole bunch of water. A whole bunch of water is going to move in because it's trying to create a balance or the same concentration on either side here. Okay. So we're going to send some water into the cell, which is going to cause the cell to get larger, right? And you want to remember that water always moves in 2 directions. So a little tiny bit is going to move back out, but most of the water is moving into the cell. That's because there's more salt inside of the cell. And you can remember it like salt sucks. It's going to slurp that water towards it. Okay. So in a hypotonic solution, the cell is going to get larger because it's bringing in water. Lastly, spoiler alert, this is our hypertonic solution. Okay, so when we look at this, we have 10% salt outside the cell, and inside the cell, we have 5% salt. So again, how do you name this solution? We're talking about the environment. How do we name this solution? You're going to look at the 10% salt, and you're going to look at the 5% salt. 10, is it higher or lower than 5? Is 10 higher or lower than 5? 10 is higher, so it is hypertonic. Okay, that's how you're going to determine the tonicity here. 10 is higher, it is hypertonic. Okay, and when you think hypertonic, you're going to look at this little R and you're going to think raisin. Okay, you're going to think wrinkled like a raisin. I know wrinkled starts with W, but just humor me here. Okay, you're going to think R, raisin, wrinkled like a raisin. If a raisin is wrinkly, it means that water has left. Okay, because salt sucks, it slurps the water towards it. It's going to all of that water out of the cell. Not all of it, but some of it. Okay. And it's going to shrink the cell. It's going to shrivel. It's going to shrink the cell. Okay. Because it's losing water. It's physically getting smaller. Okay. So that is how you can tell the difference between isotonic. We have water moving in both directions equally because it is balanced. 10% and 10% are equal. In hypotonic, we have 10% and 20%. 10% is lower. Hypo is lower. We're going to send water in. Hippo, big fat O. Okay, and then hypertonic, you're going to see this R, you're going to think raisin. You're going to say 10% is higher than 5%. Higher, hypertonic. It's wrinkled like a raisin. We're sending water out towards more salt. Okay, that's the brief overview for this section. So I'm going to go back through these things just with a little bit different verbiage here for you to just reiterate. Okay, so passive transport is when we have molecules that are moving from high concentration towards low concentration. This means we are moving down the concentration gradient, downhill with the concentration gradient. That's the direction of passive transport, high to low. No energy here, okay? Energy, no energy needed. We're going down the hill. You don't need a lot of energy to go down the hill. You just kind of roll. Okay, our examples are diffusion, facilitated diffusion, and osmosis. Okay, here's some images for you. So diffusion or simple diffusion, small molecules can pass directly through the cell membrane from an area of high concentration to low concentration, as you can see with these little red molecules here. Facilitated diffusion is going to require that protein. Facilitated, it's something special. It needs that extra protein channel. These are slightly larger molecules. These are charged molecules that are going to require the help of this protein channel in order to get through from an area of high concentration to low concentration. Also remember, with diffusion, we're talking about very small, non-polar, non-charged molecules. Okay, that's diffusion. They can go straight through. Facilitated diffusion, these are larger. These are charged molecules. They need to go through this protein so they don't disrupt the membrane. Okay, and then osmosis is the movement of water molecules through the membrane through something called an aquaporin. And this is an area of high concentration of water to a low concentration of water across the membrane. Okay, so this is just some more pictures here for you. We have diffusion. We have CO2 being diffused from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration. It's a gas. Okay, it's going to go straight through. We have here an example of putting a red substance like red dye or something. Okay, high concentration is going to spread out towards a lower concentration, which is out here. That's how we get an equilibrium like this. This is the same principle being shown here and the same principle being shown here. We have molecules in a high concentration that are spreading out to a lower concentration until eventually, like this whole cup is going to be like a light blue color. You won't see any of the clear spots. You won't see any of the darker blue spots. It will all be uniform. Okay, that is passive transport, and this is diffusion of things moving from high concentration to low concentration. Facilitated diffusion is going to be a little different, right? It's diffusion, so from high concentration to low concentration, but we are now moving molecules that are a little bit larger and that they carry charges. So this is why they have to go through a protein channel. They can't just go straight through the membrane anymore because remember, CO2 is a gas. It can just go straight through, right? If we're talking about facilitated diffusion, it needs a little bit of help with these carrier proteins and protein channels for these larger charged molecules. Lastly, we have osmosis. Okay, this kind of looks like gravity defying, but remember we said that like salt sucks, it's going to bring more salt towards it. So here it looks like we have a lot more salt. Guess what? The water is going to go towards this hypertonic region because it has more solute. Okay, looking at this one, we have a less salty liquid and a more salty liquid. Salt sucks. It's going to slurp that water over in that direction. Okay. And then this one we have inside your cells, outside your cells. We have water that's going to be moving in because there's more salt here. Salt sucks up the water towards it. Okay, so this is when we have water moving from an area of high water concentration to low water concentration, which also means that it's moving from where we have a lower solute to a higher solute concentration. Always going to go towards more salt or more sugar. Okay, just to reiterate some of the vocabulary, we talked about solutions today. It's a liquid that contains a solute and a solvent. So a solute is the stuff that gets dissolved in the liquid. The solvent is the liquid that does the dissolving, mostly water. In a hypertonic solution, we have a higher amount of salt. In an isotonic solution, we have an equal amount of salt on either side of our cell, inside and outside. And in a hypotonic solution, we have a low amount of solute or salt. This is how I like to remember this. Hypertonic, you're going to think R, wrinkled like a raisin. It's going to get smaller, right? If water is moving out, it's going to get smaller. Hippo, big fat O. If we are talking about hypotonic solutions, it's going to get larger, which means water is going into the cell. And in an isotonic solution, we have this very grammatically correct statement, I so healthy. Okay, this is where the cell wants to be. It's not changing size at all because water is moving in and out at the exact same rate. And again, we talked about how in animal cells, we want to be with isotonic solutions. That's where our cells are the healthiest. If they are in hypertonic solutions, they wrinkle and they don't work effectively. In hypotonic solutions, they burst and obviously don't work effectively. But in isotonic, the balance is just right. Water is coming in and out of the cell at an equal rate, so the cell is never actually changing. Isotonic, so healthy. In plant cells, remember we talked about how hypotonic is where our plant cells like to be, right? They like to have hypotonic solutions so that large central vacuole is really, really, really full of water so that plant can stand up. That's being turgid or having turgor pressure. Okay, so we're going to go through another example of this. I'm not going to read all of this to you because we just did a couple examples. Okay, but if we're looking at glucose here, it doesn't matter if it's sugar, if it's salt, if it's whatever. It's not the water. It's the solute. We're looking at the solute. So we're looking at 10% and we're looking at 20%. Okay, where do we have more sugar? We have more sugar inside of our cell. So is 10% start on the outside? Is it higher or lower than 20? Is 10 higher or is it lower than 20? It's lower, right? So this is a hypotonic solution, which means water is going to go into the cell. Okay? It's going to move like this. Based on the information, water is going to move into the cell in this scenario. But remember that water always moves in two directions. A little bitty bit is going to go back in the other direction. So the most correct answer would be water moves back and forth in both directions, but most of the water is moving into the cell because this is a hypotonic solution out here. Hippo, big fat O. Okay? This is called a U-tube. Okay, so where do we see more salt in this U-tube? I see more salt over here. Salt sucks the water towards it, right? It's going to slurp it up. So it's going to send water this way. So remember, water is going to mostly move from B towards A, but a little tiny bit is going to go back in the other direction, okay? And this one is our isotonic solution. These are fancy arrows that mean equilibrium. So you can see that 0.2 moles of glucose and 0.2 moles of glucose are equal. So that means that this is not higher or lower than this. It's equal to. So these are fancy. It's like a cutoff arrow, like you're missing the other half of it. These are called equilibrium arrows. Okay, these are our isotonic arrows because we're showing that water is moving in and out at exactly the same rate. So the cell is not changing. Okay, that concludes our passive transport. Hope you guys have a great day. See you next time for active.